Hey everyone, welcome back to Gamecasters, and in this video I will be doing a Sunwuko Wave of Light monk build for you guys. Now this is for Season 15 in Diablo 3, and I'm going to jump in and show you guys the gear and the skill setup for this, as well as your gems and your passives and cubed items. So to start things off, the weapon for the Sunwuko Wave of Light build is Kaishira's Blade with damage, dex, crit hit damage, spirit per second, and dex as your augment. It increases the damage of Wave of Light by 150% when initial impact of your Wave of Light hits three or fewer enemies. The damage is increased by 247%. That maxes out at 250, so that's not max there. Maximum spirit with an emerald in there, and chance to deal 24% area damage on hit. And you'll be running the Sunwuko set, well, the Monkey King garb set, I should say. With a two-piece set, your damage taken is reduced by 50% while Sweeping Wind is active. With a four-piece, every second Sweeping Wind spawns a decoy next to the last enemy you hit that taunts nearby enemies and then explodes for 1000% weapon damage for each stack of Sweeping Wind you have. With a sixth set, Lashing Tail Kick, Tempest Rush, and Wave of Light have their damage increased by 1000% for each stack of Sweeping Wind you have. The gloves have dex, crit hit damage, crit hit chance, and dex as your augment with area damage on hit. For your shoulders, you will have dex, resist all elements, dex as the augment, with cooldown of all skills, and reduces all resource costs. For the chest, you'll have diamonds, dex, vitality, resist all elements, life, and dex for your augmented item. Now for the helmet, we'll have Sogrin's Gaze, dex, bite, crit hit chance, and your Wave of Light is now cast at your enemy. Reduces cooldown of all skills by 12% from the diamond that is slotted, and Wave of Light damage from the secondary stat. Now for your jewelry, it gets a little different than I'm used to. Most builds, as you guys have probably seen if you've watched the other videos, usually are a Traveler's Pledge and a Compass Rose. This time around, we're running Sunwuko Shines with fire skill damage, crit hit chance, and a Zai's Stone of Vengeance slotted into that. Damage you deal is increased by 12% for every 10 yards between you and the enemy hit, maximum of 64%, while increase at 50 yards, and obviously that increases as you level up the gem. 20% chance on hit to stun that enemy for 1 second. For your bracers, you'll have Pinto's Pride with fire skill damage, dex, bite, crit hit chance, and dex as the augment. Wave of Light also slows enemies by 80% for 3 seconds and deals 150% increased damage. For your offhand, Vengeful Wind with damage, dex, crit hit damage, life per hit, and dex as the augment. Increase the maximum stack count of Sweeping Wind by 7. Reduce cooldown of all skills by 8%, maximum spirit, and you will have an emerald in there if you have a slot on there. For the jewelry, back to the rings at least, Unity, which runs similarly to how Witch Doctor does. You'll have a Unity on either one of your other party members or your companion if you're solo rifting. So Unity will have crit hit damage, crit hit chance, dex is the augment, and you'll have a slotted Bane of the Trapped. Increase damage against enemies under the effects of control and pairing effects by 47.70%. Gain an aura that reduces the movement speed of enemies within 15 yards of 30%. And all damage taken is split between wearers of this item, which is the reason you'll have one equipped to your companion as well. 13% damage to elite enemies. And then for your Convention of Elements, you'll have crit hit damage, crit hit chance, and have a Bane of the Stricken slotted. Each attack you make against an enemy increases the damage it takes from your attacks by 1.89%. Gain 25% increased damage against bosses and Rift Guardians. And For the Convention of Elements effect, gain 195% increased damage, which at a max of 200, to a single element for 4 seconds. This effect rotates through all the elements available to your class in the following order: Arcane, Cold, Fire, Holy, Lightning, Physical, and Poison. You'll have reduced cooldown of all skills on that. Boots. You'll have the crudest boots with Dex, Bite, Armor, Dex as the augment, and Mystic Ally summons 2 Mystic Allies that fight by your side. You'll have Wave of Light damage on that. For your pants, you'll have 2 diamonds, Dex, Bite, Resist all elements, Armor, Dex as the augment, and then your secondaries can be whatever you would like them to be. For the belt, the Witching Hour, Dex, Bite, attack speed, crit hit damage, Dex is the augment, and as usual, the other 2 can be whatever you find useful for yourself. Now we'll go straight to the cubed items, since these are what you can alternate your gear out with. You have the Incense Torch of the Grand Temple, reduces the spirit cost of Wave of Light by 50% and increases its damage by 550%. The armor slot, you'll have Cinder Coat, reduces the resource cost of fire skills by 30%, and Ring of Royal Grandeur, reduces the number of items needed for set bonuses by 1 to a minimum of 2. Now moving on to skills, you'll have Wave of Light, which is part of the build, with Explosive Light, Dashing Strike with Blinding Speed, Mystic Ally, Air Ally, Epiphany, Desert Shroud, Mantra of Salvation, Agility, and Sweeping Wind, Inner Storm. And as for the passives, we'll have Seize the Initiative, Near-Death Experience, Harmony, and Beacon of Yatar. Now I will go through a couple of other ones just to make sure if there's any kind of alternate switch-ups here. Stricken, Vengeance, Trapped. Let me go back up here just to make sure. Okay, those gems are still the same. Now there is a difference here in passives. Let me see. Okay, so it looks like this person is running Sixth Sense as an alternate passive on one of their things. And they're running Spirit Guards instead for their armor piece, in an alternative of the Cinder Coat. So Spirit Guards, your Spirit Generators reduce your damage taken by 60% for 3 seconds. And we'll go down one more. Vengeance, Stricken, Trapped. Vengeful Wind, Witching Hour. Looks like everything is on par there. This person is running the cubed items that the first person was. So it looks like this build has a couple of slight alternations, but other than that, this seems to be the highest pushing one. So we're looking between the top 4 to 6 players on here. I have avoided the top 3 here because they're a ridiculous amount of primals, and I try to avoid that now. But other than that, Monk is pretty straightforward with its build. It's not a hard one to run. I believe there's a lot of timing and stuff, considering if you run the Convention of Elements, but that's all up to you guys. And I think that covers Monk for you. Let me just make sure I didn't pass over anything here. Doesn't look like it. So that's the Sunwuko Wave of Light build for the Monk. And if you guys have any questions or suggestions, you can leave a comment down below, and I will be happy to look into it. And if you subscribe and hit the bell button, you'll get notifications for whenever I upload new videos, which I will be keeping you guys updated for the console versions of Diablo 3 from here into the future. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.